Alright guys, welcome back. We're picking up here on this WR250, this 97, and the issue that we're having right now is looks like an oil leak right at this seam here. We went ahead and we resealed this just because we were told that it had been replaced before and that was the most likely location for the leak, but it turns out that it's, like I said, it's leaking right at this seam here behind the oil plug that we had replaced. So what we're gonna do in the time lapse is we're gonna take the exhaust off. We got to take off the skid plate in order to get that off, and then we're just gonna try to get this cover to come off. We have the one gasket here to that we have to replace. You know, I didn't want to tear this all apart since I don't have a clean environment to keep it apart in while we're waiting for parts. So hopefully we can get all this stuff off without having any issues. We're going to try to leave as much of it on as we can so we can avoid maybe needing to replace some other seals. But you know, we'll time lapse it and hopefully it turns out well. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to finish cleaning out this case, just kind of clean everything off. This thing had a lot of what looked like clutch material coming out of it. I'm not going to disassemble that clutch, but I'm just going to kind of see how much material I can get out of it. And then what I went ahead and did to make sure that I can get this cover off without having to remove the outer casings and stuff was I just had referenced the new gasket, and I made sure I removed all the bolts that were, you know, had holes within the new gasket. So we're gonna go ahead and time lapse cleaning this up, make sure all the gasket material's up, clean up that space, and then we're gonna go ahead and try to reseal it. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to pour some fresh oil in this. Went ahead and took this level check bolt out, and then we're going to, once it starts pouring out of there, we should be good. I'm going to just try to level the bike out as much as I can here. This bike doesn't take very much. It's like 3/4 of a quart is what it takes. So we're just going to pour it in nice and slow. And then also obviously check for leaks, since we had just done our best to reseal it here. Oh, you can see there a whole bunch of oil pouring out. Now I'm going to kind of lean the bike a little bit away from it so that I get kind of a little bit more than I need. We already changed the oil filter on this bike, you know, not but a week ago without any riding on it, so. And I'm watching the oil come out in the pan, and it's coming out pretty clean. So I like that. I think I'm okay with that. I'm gonna throw the bolt back in it. This bolt's kind of at an awkward angle, so you definitely want to make sure you get it to where it threads in without any resistance, because it'll feel like it's started, but it'll actually be a little bit cockeyed. Spray off. Alright, what we're going to do now is kind of reassemble this, put the exhaust pipe back on. I'll probably wait to put the skid plate back on until I get it started up and make sure that she's not leaking anything. Alright, so what we've done is we've wiped up underneath the water pump and that seal that we had just replaced. We're going to go ahead and start it up. We made sure that was all dry. We're going to start it up, make sure there's no leaks. And then if there isn't any leaks, we'll go ahead and throw the skid plate back on, and we'll probably make sure that the oil's at the right level and the coolant's at the right level. Right now I have the coolant cap open just so that we can bleed it if we need to. Actually, let me wear some better shoes for this before I flood it. Alright, we're going to try this again. Well, that's not good. Like we got coolant coming out of a lot of places. Well, let's get started over here. Okay, so we went ahead and we took a second look at this. And what I did was I took out the oil check plug right there. So I wanted to see if the coolant was mixing with the oil, kind of like what it looked like. But fortunately I didn't get, I didn't really tear this back apart because there's an overflow tube right there. You can see that little tube right there. That's the coolant overflow tube. So what I went ahead and did is I put the cap back on since the level was looking pretty good and we didn't get any coolant coming out. So I'm pretty happy about that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and fire it up real quick, and then we're just gonna watch it for a second before we go ahead and throw everything back together. Choke on. Cool. Well, we had a lot of oil. Sorry about that. Try to show you guys. We had a lot of oil leaking out right here, and it wasn't certain if it was coming from the plug or because it's kind of all feeding up over here. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and throw the skid plate and stuff back on, ride it around, get it hot, then we'll check the levels and we'll call it good. So I don't think we need to record all that. So if you guys liked what you saw, and if you need to kind of just do a partial case reseal like this, I wasn't really finding any videos online on partially resealing a case. Everything's like, oh, engine rebuild and this, that, and the other. But this kind of just goes to show that you can do it. I didn't, I kind of just took it on a wing, and was able to do it relatively easy. So if you guys like what you saw, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button, and we'll see you again next time.